Logan and Jake Paul always hated each other. I mean, literally since they were kids until now. Logan Paul and Jake Paul are brothers, if you didn't know already. But they have quite a strange, weird relationship. I'd say their hate is more than their like for each other. Now, if you couldn't tell, I'm not part of the Paul brother family. But there are things that have happened on the internet that make me and many other people believe that they don't really like each other that much. I guess the most obvious place to start would be their childhood. On Jake Paul's podcast, yes, Jake Paul has a podcast. He said this about how Logan felt towards him as a child.
Team. We did this together. We started our YouTube channel together, and basically, like off camera, he was basically like, "No, like I never respected you when we were kids. Like I thought you were a failure, and all this shit." And I was just like, "So you didn't even like respect me as a brother, but built forts together, and we were best friends, and we survived a traumatic childhood, but you had no respect for me until I was older and was successful."
I guess this could be an older brother thing, thinking you're older and better and almost just looking down on your little brother. I understand certain disrespect. You know, if you're disrespecting some kid at school who's 2 years younger than you, I kind of understand it. Okay, now, to an extent. Where this all gets a bit weird is when you realize that they're brothers, and Logan Paul is looking down on his brother and almost not respecting him because he's not as famous as him. Yeah, this all seems just a bit weird. Anyway, this led to Jake Paul being quite lonely as a kid. So there was already this power dynamic set up. Logan, being older and slightly more relevant at the time, thought he was in power and better than Jake. This would slowly start to change because this was at a time where Jake Paul was actually starting to see success with social media and actually started vlogging and taking this whole YouTube thing seriously. Now, looking at the vlogs he was posting, I get his audience was younger, but seriously, what is this? I mean, some of this is actually like unwatchable, but somehow it worked. He was pulling in millions of views a video and making millions from sponsors like Disney. Meanwhile, Logan Paul was doing his thing. Now you can see where this calls for some sort of rivalry. We've got two brothers who started off as the Paul brothers, one entity, to now two distinct Jake Paul and Logan Paul. And even though it was probably difficult to tell them apart at the time, these were brothers who split off and were posting daily vlogs and trying to have the most viral video. This calls for a rivalry because YouTube is and was a competitive space where the audience will watch whatever they want. It started as good, entertaining vlogs to crazy stuff that literally put them in jail. They were going the extra mile every single upload, and it really did get out of control. And this is the point where this rivalry had to be settled. The diss tracks. Now, say what you want, I think this was 100% done for the views. Logan Paul released his diss track, and it did very, very well. Now, the diss tracks themselves were probably mutually agreed, but one thing that definitely wasn't agreed, in Logan's diss track, Alyssa Violet, a former member of Team 10, makes an appearance. This is where this possibly fake YouTube beef actually got real. Now, although this was crazy, I'm not going to sit here and act like this caused some crazy destruction in their relationship. They literally made a music video apologizing to each other for 3 minutes straight about 3 weeks after this happened. This whole situation was a bit of a mess, and after that they went back to vlogs. Logan was caught in a certain situation. Eventually both brothers went into YouTube boxing. Relationship as of now, fine. Until, well, there's two things that stemmed out of YouTube boxing that ruined their relationship. If the comparison for who was more successful could have extended away from YouTube, it did. Now there was a rivalry between these guys in boxing.
Logan Paul, Jake Paul super fight. Could it ever happen?
I mean, I think, yeah, like anything's possible.
Videos constantly appeared of Logan and Jake saying they'd fight each other, and Jake saying that he's better, Logan saying he's better.
You haven't fought anyone. You don't fight. You don't fight real fights. You're not even a fighter. Like, you do exhibitions and lost like 4 years ago.
I think I'm better than you. And I think Nate chose you for a reason.
But what have you done to prove that you're better than me?
Even to his face. They genuinely started comparing themselves and started considering fighting. A fight between two brothers is unheard of. I mean, in real life it's definitely heard of. This was definitely new, and people were surprised they were even talking about this or comparing themselves like this. You can see possibly the insecurities of Logan and maybe even Jake as they find the need to compare themselves in every metric. But boxing created more issue than one for the brothers. KSI and Jake Paul hated each other. The whole rivalry stemmed off the whole YouTube boxing thing, and they ended up getting very close to fighting. Prime is announced. I mean, this is one of the craziest things Logan Paul could have done. It's like Logan just wanted to uppercut Jake Paul in the balls. And as you probably imagine, this was very, very awkward. This also showed a weird side of Logan.
Who do you want to win?
Logan Paul considered KSI a friend and a business partner, and couldn't decide who he preferred or who he supported, KSI or Jake Paul. I mean, let's get things straight. Jake Paul is your brother, and KSI is your business partner, who you consider your friend after knowing him for about 2 months. You just fought the guy, and hated this guy, and violated him for the past 2 years, and now you consider him your friend. And this guy is the guy that you're going to be comparing to Jake Paul. I mean, even Jake Paul had doubts whether these guys were even friends. The fact that he was almost confused as to whether to support KSI or Jake Paul is honestly just crazy to me. This made fans and Jake Paul question how close and good of a relationship Logan had with Jake. It seemed like KSI had further damaged their relationship and this whole partnership with KSI and Logan Paul. It was all Logan Paul's fault, and he knew the consequences of doing this. All of this stuff combined, everything that I've talked about that's gone on over the years, kind of came to a boiling point where it was all argued out and discussed in
Mentioning or bringing in Prime to the stadium. They said I would get kicked out if I brought a Prime bottle.
Yeah, get over it. I think you have a lot of trauma to unpack.
Probably.
You love to play the brother card when it's like convenient, but then it's like, oh, I want to go I want like my get back at Tommy Fury, and you're like, no. I need to do my career. I need to do. But when it's convenient for you, we're brothers. But then when it's not, you do the exact opposite of like, but we're completely separate. So like, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do as well. You want to partner with Dana White and KSI? You're your own entity.
a podcast of Logan Paul's. People realized that Jake Paul wasn't actually that bad of a person. It seemed like he's a nice guy trying to act bad, whereas Logan Paul's a bad guy trying to act good. So I don't really know if you can call this relationship brotherly, or whether it's just guys that come from the same family who are competing to make better content, to outdo the other brother and to just outshine the other brother. At the end of the day, it's a very, very toxic relationship between Logan and Jake, and I'm sure there's things I've missed out in this video. There's another great video made by Tellers More, which I'll link in the description of this, and he goes into a bit more detail into some of the things, but I wanted to outline why this relationship is so terrible and so weird for so many different reasons. But anyway, I'm live on Twitch, so go follow that. Have you subscribed yet? Why not? I'm on the road to 5,000 subscribers. Every single subscriber, literally every single one counts. So hit the subscribe button now.